Well, here we go. We are live streaming. Fourth branch launching. Well, here we go. We are live streaming. Wow. Um, well, all the pieces of the puzzle have come together for the launch of what will complement, complete, suffuse, improve, and enable the existing constitutional system of America to fully thrive and express in its greatest potential. I know that sounds like a bold statement, and it's not me doing it. Sources behind the whole game and a whole wonderful team of people joining. And first among them, my guest today, Jacob Bornstein. Welcome.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I can't hear you. One second. I've got to turn up the volume. There we go. Jacob Bornstein. And I'm going to now shut off my thingy majiggy here. Let me just turn the volume down on this joker. Voila.
Hey, Scott.
How you doing, Jacob?
Good. I didn't mean to interrupt a podcast or something.
Oh no, you're in it. You're on it.
All
It's
right.
like they say about what is that? I forget what the dish soap was, but you're steeping in it, Madge.
Okay.
You know? What was it called? I forget.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
but
You
we're
know,
in it. We're
you
in
know, I
it.
didn't grow up with the TV, so a lot of these cultural references are just not in my mind.
Recording.
All right.
Yeah, welcome to the public space. It's also live streaming on YouTube.
Okay.
Everything I do from here on will be done this way. There's no more back rooms. We're done. Complete transparency. If there has anything we need to talk about in private, we'll do it separately. I can't imagine anything important that is.
Okay. Sounds good, Scott. Sounds good.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me know.
It's a kind of consent, but it's going to be fun. I think we're going to warm up to the idea of being able to do this stuff and just be able to start sharing more vividly and take these nuggets of stuff that happens in these conversations and begin to share them with the movement and with people at large who just have no clue WTF is going on, that they can remain cynical amidst what you and I are seeing. And even the people in the movement and the people at Hatch that we hung out with, not really grokking what's at hand. The investors that you've met still kind of like hesitating to write a check and fiddle with their mediocre strategies in their little closed back rooms, thinking they can cook it up and improve anything with the methodology that hasn't done anything significant yet.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, um, the world of supporting America's democracy, of bridging across differences, of depolarization, of structural reform, of this whole civic health ecosystem has been going on for, 40 plus years now. And the increase in the number of organizations has skyrocketed in direct correlation with the level of polarization, which means that we are at the coattails trying to catch up with the moment we're in rather than bending the curve. And so I think you and I, and one reason I love talking to you, Scott, is you're like, let's just get down with it, man. How are we going to freaking bend the curve? How are we going to scale this? And we know it needs to happen on the ground.
Yeah.
So I
And I can pause recording and streaming as we go. So we might have some moments where we do that, especially as we talk about Ben Rattray, but we don't need to expose too much of what they have going. We can speak high level about that to preserve what they want to preserve as long.
yeah. Yeah, and the only thing that I'm doing a lot of shuttle diplomacy right now between lots of different partners, trying to pull it all together because um as I said at Hatch, everyone's running around with their little spray bottles trying to put out the fire. And even if it's a big spray bottle, it's not enough. So,
And this whole thing of trying to manage it, I lived my lived experience locally. Alex working with the LA Civic Hub. So a case study for what we're talking about is a balkanized movement, huge movement, 10,000 plus organizations, local branches. We haven't even brought in YMCA, Boys and Girls Clubs, PTAs. I mean, there's so many that if we added to them, we're talking about 50, 100,000 national, regional, and local organizations that would hop on board if we could just get everyone to start rowing together and say, like, get out of the back room and trying to control the limited drip of funding that you think is there and open your eyes to what happens if we start to go more public with this and generate more consilience and conversations in the movement about how do we weave this together better, let a bunch of flowers bloom and experiments go, and just keep sharing in the IMIT way about our actions instead about our what we're maybe gonna do, which is the IMIT framework right now. And the meeting they'll have tomorrow is going to be like, here's some old timers, mostly white people, old people talking about what we could do. And then there's all these other people doing. And I think the conversation should be let the old people be the audience for a while and let the people doing come into the foreground and just report what we're doing, what our plan is next in the entrepreneur operating system model. What are your milestones and rocks? What are you up to this quarter, in this year? Maybe we've got a 2 year plan. And then what are you doing that moves towards that? And can we get funding for this? Can we create a funding pool and then collaboratively allocate the limited funds and the giant funds that we will get towards all this in an open process? If you want to use the Civic Exchange and just earmark your funds, you can. But why don't you pool it and let the collective intelligence also decide where those funds go and not just the foundations gathering together?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of collective emergent philanthropy, which is exactly what you're describing. It's just my name for it, um, which is in the Foundation Review somewhere from years ago. But the thing that was missing is the portfolio of coordinated, mutually elevating activities and how that links together. And so, yes, on the what are you doing? That's an ingredient. And we're trying to cook up something really special here. And we need many ingredients and they need to work together in consort because,
Yeah.
most people
So
don't like pickle ice cream, but so
I'm
how
gonna,
do
I like to paint a big picture of what I'm seeing now is what the meta strategy is for the fourth branch. And I'm sticking with that terminology because I invested some significant funds in the .com and I still love it the best. We're in a polyarchic system where someone comes up with a better one and that wins. I'll unfold
I
towards
thought
that.
I
But
got you with the original first branch, but apparently
almost, but then, everyone knows from school and from, was Schoolhouse Rock. There are three branches, one, two, three. It's in the Constitution. And the First Amendment gives us the free power forever to launch the fourth. So that's how I'm seeing it. Within that, there are four key branches. One is the boots on the ground that Mediators Foundation, you, Braver Angels, and the related network is organizing and weaving national, regional, local alliances to be the people that stay in coordinated communication, coordinated fundraising, the center for sponsorship, and ultimately the allocation of collective pooled funds. It's really where the muscle and the action with bones, flesh, people in community are going to do the work. And we have this breakthrough piece that we've been waiting for, which is a national level organization with a 200 million plus person list that I'm not even going to name, that has the oomph and a leader saying, yeah, civic assemblies, but v Taiwan. And then I just told him about Participativo. Civic assemblies were the needed thing when you couldn't bring people together through technology and you had to have 500 people judging whether Socrates should live or die. So they did a random sortition to decorrupt it so that the people who hated Socrates couldn't be the ones deciding, much less deciding what should happen with public funds in Athens. So that's awesome. But Participativo and now some key leaders that are tech forward are saying broad participation completely kills the need for this expensive, slow thing. Because if you get millions of participants, the moral authority, the collective intelligence is greater, and you get the marketing built in. So we have someone going to now six cities already booked, alternating red and blue to run a 2 day, 1 day, 2 hour, 100-person assembly using tech on some simple stuff that we know we should get across the line. That's going to prove it works. It's going to get national visibility. So we've got a breakthrough. The action is local, and then we need the tech to complement that. And that, from everything I've read now, is citizens.is turned into a simple freaking gamified LLM tool with a chat window. That's what worked for GPT to become 1 billion users in a year and a half. That's what will work for us. And if you want to look under the hood, you can see the analytics on the side. That's how I'm seeing the UI UX for a deliberative platform. And we can just use citizens.is and almost literally drop it into a GPT, and you've got your system. And then it learns how to work it better for different kinds of applications. Plug it in with MetaGov, and we have all the different tools that everyone's developing for different games. That's the tech. And then the last is the media. That's the fourth branch of the fourth branch, which is how we do this new model of distributed gamified incentive reward, 1,000 million creators telling the story of what happens in these things with different stakeholder voices empowered and enabled with its own fund to say who's doing it well, develop your story. You got your story, get some traction. We're going to pump it up with some advertising to push it through social media, YouTube's, podcasts, enrolling existing influencers and creators into this, vision reels using AI to show scenarios. That's the whole story right now. As far as I understand it, that's the complete package for a contemporary cutting edge movement. And then it's about telling that story to investors who start to get it, which is why I'm doing this live now, because it's like whoever's willing to get it, join the party. Everyone else lagging behind on Web 2 strategies and foundation freaking forever control strategies. Literally F off and just go stew in your own little pot while we're doing the cutting edge, hyper advancing fourth branch up in 1 year thing. It's going to happen now. That's what I learned yesterday is that the tails are the scales have tipped, and we have everything we need with that breakthrough killer list and cutting edge tech aware guy who's going to go six cities, news coverage, PR company off the wazoo, blast off.
Yeah, I think that that's really exciting. And um, one thing about the fourth branch, because I can't let it go. And then let's talk about the actual strategy. Um, Really, the branches of government and the media are there to support the trunk. And that, but that doesn't sound very good. We are the trunk, doesn't mean anything.
We are the roots and the trunk,
That's
right?
right. But just visually, like we're not a separate branch. We're the reason those branches are there to serve the people, and
Yep.
that's why it was created. So that aside, just philosophically, um,
If I could express it in a way that people would get it, it's like it's a toroid, right? We are the roots. The
yeah,
fruit is how it expresses through executive, legislative, and occasionally through judicial when you need it. And that feeds back into the roots in the mycelium, which is us, that creates a bigger and stronger tree. So the toroidal tree model is the model. But when we're talking from a political, yeah, exactly. No,
that's why that's our
I love that. That's like the Superman moment. Who Jacob is really the trunk, the trunk activator. And that's really what it is for people to understand the paradigm with a tree is as perfect as it gets. So I think that's our paradigm for sharing the story of what it is in the context of our national narrative constitution. And now this like Ken Burns series, the new revolution is, hey guys, we had this other part that we were responsible for. We're calling it the fourth branch. It's really the trunk and the roots of the whole thing, and the fruit that will come from it will be the best fruit ever. We can work with multiple metaphors. We're
yeah. But
contemporary
let's
smart people.
let's let's that shouldn't be my job because that's not my gift. My gift is to really think about
Yeah.
how do you pull people of deep difference together to solve problems. And here's one of the challenges with um, only relying on a tech forward platform that I just want to be really frank about, Scott, because There's a reason that our forefathers, the original founders, I really like this thing that PolicyLink is pushing. We are founders. You
Yeah,
know, we are founders. Still, we're young. We hope to be around for thousands of years. 250 is just the beginning. So,
100%.
in order for that to happen, we've got to get it right now. Um, but the reason the initial founders of didn't like democracy alone was because you could leave a lot of important perspectives out of the picture. And so when you look at these, there was this recent effort in um, Bowling Green, the town, and 80% of people agreed on the same priorities. Like that's pretty cool, right? 80%. Um, and I think you'd probably have a similar thing when you look at different communities, even states, maybe a little less, but still above 50%. I think the challenge comes when you start to talk about the solutions. And if you're not really seeing the problem from all sides, then the solutions you generate may be able to get a majority or even a super majority of support, but they actually won't be the best solutions. And so the deliberative process where you're bringing in all the different perspectives and those three dimensions of diversity that I talk about. There's the demographic, the perspective, and the diversity of power. That's what builds the moral authority to get it done. So I worry that if we're not careful, we can get a lot of people agreeing on a lot of stuff, even at supermajority levels in community. And then because we haven't done the work, the relational work in community of getting I was just talking to Duncan Autry yesterday, and he's like, and I went, I'm on this neighborhood board, and then I went to the Oakland wide one, and now like they're asking me to be on that board. Like he's building that relational piece to be able to spread what he's done in his neighborhood to the other 19 neighborhoods and have already built in this relationship with government sort of baked in there. And
Yeah.
it's that type of pulling the accountability of those in power, the decision makers, to be accountable to the people that builds that moral authority, and they need to be part of that picture. And so
Yeah.
I worry about a tech only. Let's have this, and then
We're not saying that. Just to be clear, the four branches and why BTA, for lack of a better Together America, is this one huge branch, is that tech complements it.
Mhm.
Because, like I'm learning in the enterprise operating system, the book Traction, crucial reading. Excellent for just saying, oh, this is how contemporary movement would work, where you have leadership, responsibility, accountability, transparency, reporting, strict process, strict formatted meetings for inputting what you're doing, how you're hitting your milestones, and addressing blocks and issues. It's a brilliant freaking system. But key in that, like you're saying, is so we have these great processes. How do we share what's happening in these conversations and how do we progress so it's not recursively reinventing the solution and the common ground over and over again? So voice of the people polling is, the old school way of saying, we know that there's common ground here.
Right.
Awesome. So we're not going to find so much conflict when we get together because we generally already, through polling, know that people will agree. Awesome. That's a provisional policy. Then you do this deliberative process with the big partner that's going to do it in 6 cities. Wow, we can do this in 2 hours. Then there's the ongoing like deliberation, which I think winds up being paired with if a city has them, BTA is branching in with neighborhood councils. If a city doesn't have them, we're promoting the establishment of neighborhood level councils that meet in person and that you have like an Insta 360 camera in there. This tech doesn't exist yet. You record every table,
Mhm.
automatically uploaded, automatically distilled, automatically generating. You want to
Tech
hear
exists.
stakeholder. like African American from South Central, you want to hear your person coming to the agreement and explaining why it's best for everyone and your stakeholder group in a compromise or a strong consensus all win. Here is your identifiable person saying it
Yeah.
and participating in building the relationships across the divide in the room. So the heart of it, for me, 100%, I live this in my town like every day. Let's get together. Let's go to the farmers market. Let's give people a warm-up experience. Excited enough, guys? Let's rally the resources together to do this properly. Track it with the in person, track it in a deliberative thing that, like a Wikipedia, develops the best conversation for your town and the argument and a top line. You start to see what the dynamic, responsive living system that has no political season. It's on always till we've checked that easy, biggest priority on the list, and we did what we could agree on. Let's do the next most challenging thing that we're having a harder time with and just work down the stack. And that's what we're doing for however long it takes till the world's so good that we can hand it to the AI and say, maintain, right? God bless. But
I'm
that's our
not going
work.
to go there with you, but yes, sure.
That's the work of this generation is to be in person and doing it with food, fun, music, right? That's, I mean, like I have this question for you. I would save it for the end, but I'm going to bring it in right now. I see your guitar behind you. I'm like, what is your favorite movement song for this movement? And you can cook
Like,
on that, but if you know,
um, there's actually, do you remember how we put that music list together for the Better Together America Accelerator workshop? Everybody said what is essentially answering that question, which is really cool. I actually submitted a song by my brother. I'm not sure that it made it there. That was really powerful to me. Um, but I've been a fan, and just because we were in Mexico with Rising Appalachia, and I was really bummed that they did not play Resilient. Um, that is the song, I do a lot of this work for my girls,
hmm,
and that song just like that speaks to me sort of for them. I don't know how much, I mean, they like the song, but they're like, enough of that song already, Dad. I got it.
that's so
But,
funny.
that's really, I think that's a really good one. There's lots of songs that though could be on that list. Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you for that little breakaway. And then where do you see where's your focus right now? What do you need help with, and how do we bring the bridge? I mean, I think the conversation with Ben is like top level to get him to understand that we have everything that you need for the boots on the ground to take the lift off that you're generating and turn it into a durable, cultural, self-sustaining phenomenon on the ground.
Yeah. So I think the big things that Better Together America and the hubs need is we need a flexible tech stack. And I think that what we're talking about with Ben is an important part of it. I've been talking to some of the leading tech people. We're just bringing on a software engineer for dirt cheap to help with some of these pieces because nothing quite exists that's exactly right. Because you need the network building tools combined with the civic engagement, which should be flexible, like not small town, Sisters, Oregon. They don't need a big online forum. They're 3,700 people. That's not really how, and they're skew older and rural with poor internet. They're going to show up at a town hall, and you might get maybe a third or a fifth of the population show up for something important. And they've had high engagement. They've done the visioning work. It's really exciting what they're doing. But they need a tool like DemBrain or Cortico, similar to what you were talking about, where they can sit down in small groups and take that information and have that be themed so they can have a bunch of small group conversations and
Yeah,
have
and verbally feedback to and say, that's not quite right. That didn't integrate what I said, and see it on screen at each table and go, okay, that's close enough. Do we have consensus? Good enough. Good enough. We're
yeah,
done in an hour, right? And
things
then
like that would be really powerful, right?
yeah,
So
one piece that I heard recently when I was challenged in Mexico City around this was like, well, how do you get the old people in and the people in small towns who don't use any social applications? I'm like, well, actually, we have a really interesting engagement solutions journalism opportunity here, which is you get that distillation from the people who show up in person, the people who chime in online. It forms this consensus. There's a bunch of people who don't want to show up. They're too old. They're at home. You send them a newsletter, literally print it. They can check boxes on whether they like, dislike, or propose something different in writing, send it back and use frickin' OCR to integrate their thing. We could go to that level where it literally becomes the daily newspaper, the weekly news report is back for your town so you can stay informed, get the digest for the issues you care about, or comprehensively if you care about all of it, read it online or in Facebook, your Facebook group, if that's where you interact, which is a large part of our older people and those that just hate the tech. It's printed and you're not excluded. And it's a little extra budget, but we could probably get our governments and even the federal to say, for deliberative participatory democracy, free, no stamp, there and back. And then it's just a sheet of paper, you know?
yeah, something like that would be amazing. And we've seen a lot of communities resort to sort of, I mean, that's the old standard, Scott. Here's the survey in the mail, free envelope, mail it back. And that's what people did for a long time. So I think those types of tools are important. There's also the Rapid Start Guide and whole resource center. So like that tech stack is just one small piece. I
Yeah.
think then developing things like the Rapid Start Guide, which we're working on, and having that be adaptable enough um, while being clear enough. If you are starting from you and three people in your basement, what do you do? How do you move and how do you do it quickly, effectively, efficiently in a way that's authentic to the nature of your community and what you need. And um that's a little tricky. And then I'll be honest, like part of the challenge is we think what you are doing in your neighborhood and for LA is great. And then when I see you talking to Cindy Wilson in Idaho, and there's sparks flying in terms of like, oh, well, we could do this or that. And oh, I like that idea. I could use that, you know, that exchange of finding a way to have these best practices spread throughout a network. And so it's not just LA alone or Idaho alone or, 20,000 person Montrose, Colorado alone, that they're part of a community and we're tapping into network theory. And we need to honor people's time to show up. They get value out of it, but we also need the shared measurement and that learning community. So, as you know, funding's a big deal. I was on a call with someone yesterday, and their organization was at a meeting. They're, well stacked organization, and the president of the foundation said, "Well, I'm just going to give at the dinner 12 million." And I said, "Do you know what 12 million would do for Better Together America? Like that would help us get to 250 civic hubs, pay them for 3 years of participation, not at a high level, but
Yeah.
$30,000 over 3 years. And that's enough of a budget to like get stuff going and be able to proof case. We'd be able to have the shared measurement, that whole measurement stack. Um, and that would reach 160 million Americans and probably more.
Well, and
But
I think the way I understand it is that first funding is catalytic, that you
yeah,
wind up hiring at a reliable term, like all startups have this challenge. You need that 1.5 million just to guarantee top level people. so that then the people that they would hire are excellent people that these guys know how to, women know how to weave and
That's
how
right.
to manage in a next level way. And then you can do that thing where it's, yeah. I mean, we can talk about the specifics of the tech stack for startup, but I'm starting to see Telegram replaces Slack and it's free, and their functionality is next level. When you look at the stack of stuff that's in there, project management templates for how you do an event or a thing or start a thing or all of it. Open Impact is free and does it for nonprofits doing this around the world. Wiki for solutions and strategies and inventory and directory of best strategies and solutions for different scales and types of issues. So it's like, let's start with this. And then courses to train people how to do these things using circles.io is what I understand to be the best available one right now. And we might get a free deal out of them or pay for that. It's not that expensive. And you have a course that can train 100 people, 1,000 people at a time with an evergreen program. Did you watch the video? Yes, they did. Did you do the test? Yes, you did. Okay, you're certified to host your first event and automate and have peer mentoring so
That's
it doesn't
all.
require. And then weave in our network of facilitators as the key operators, and we've tracked it. Training facilitators on a rising scale of badged accomplishment and mastery, organizers, fundraisers, media. That's your local hub and national and state hub dimensions that each need their own decentralized training, organizing, and then accountability structure, which the entrepreneurial operating system EOS maps the framework for how to create this in a measurable, top, cutting edge, best practice management way that has central to it how you create processes that are recognized as best practice, that can evolve, that have the adaptability of addressing issues, that then become shared skills across the network. And then all of it is a shareable asset that can be used anywhere and internationally. And we're all feeding into it in that toroidal loop. That's like the kind of optimal framework that I'm seeing at a high strategic level of just tracking my favorite best stuff. It's kind of like collecting, your favorite hockey cards or something, or your favorite Lego kit, right? With one functionality and another, and you start to see what the best Lego pieces are for doing the whole thing. These are the Lego pieces for tier one, and then design. Like, so the deliberative platform right now is citizens.is, just because flipping Alex Long could put it up for DC in a few minutes because he's tech able and that's replicable. We can hire someone for like 25 bucks an hour in Asia to replicate and adapt based on the specific needs of one community after another. And you have a cumulative deliberative platform that can go one issue after another for every neighborhood council. It already exists. And that we can then, what discussing it from the MVP tech development is when you use existing stuff that you stitch together, you see where the holes and the opportunities for automation are that people are most having to lift and glue tape and whatever. You automate for those based on the community's
That,
requirements.
that's one of the things we're really looking at. How do we build the Mr. Potato Head that has these different pieces that okay, you want this. Here's, you want that nose. We got that nose, we got that ear, we got that hat. Oh, those lips you want? That's great. Um,
And we've got a coach for you to help assemble it and a peer mentoring group that you can plug into at your level in your region.
so, so I really want you to be meeting with Brandon Norgard, who's the engineer, the software engineer.
Okay. I know Brandon.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, because metamodernism, he's been tracking the same thing for years. And Stephen Reed, who's a kind of mentor, and I've been touting this movement to those guys for 3 years, and they've been in their bubble. I'm not going to bitch or moan too much, but I've been telling the crypto guys, look at the deliberative democracy, mediators, 40 years, don't reinvent this. Telling the meta modernist and meta crisis people, Daniel Schmachtenberger. It's a sense making problem. Well, here's people doing sense making for 40 years. Let's just scale this, right?
But
And they just finally, God bless, I'm not going to complain too long. They're finally joining.
yeah, so Brandon's a piece of that. He's a part of that, and he's a software engineer, and I think he sort of gets what we're trying to do, so that's good. Um, but I'll if you know him, feel free to reach out and uh
Yeah, no, please connect us. It would help. And then Adam Lake with a whole network of coders ready to pile in and help, and Liz Berry building what they're building for that interoperability layer. And yeah, Adam Long, who's already built the Tinderized version of Polis and is ready to, who's done product. I mean, God bless all these tech people. None of them have actually done a consumer-facing tech product and been through the mill of actually developing something consumer-facing in business like I have for 30 years. And there's a vast difference between living in theory and movement and foundation funding and being in the marketplace going, what works with people?
that, that's
Adam,
the problem.
Alex has that.
Yeah,
And it's a world of difference of hypothetical, theoretical, ivory tower, techie people doing crypto in a bubble to people who've done product paired with people who've done the work on the ground, you guys, that's the meeting point for a consumer facing or a citizen facing application that will work.
that's right. Yeah. And I feel right now that a lot of the tech that I'm looking at, trying to fit a good process, fit that circle into a very square sort of thing that's it's not a one-to-one match. And so it's difficult for me to have the vision of what works for community and then to have these tools, which are cool. I like them, but not really aligned with most of.
Missing piece of the puzzle, again, for where the cutting edge is in tech. OpenAI went from 0 to 1 billion users with a chat interface. That's it. There
Yeah,
is no other model right now. Anyone trying to do a website with a dashboard and a thing or an app download, just like F off. It's no, absolutely no. Like trying to reinvent citizens.is or bootleg something different than Partisan, not do part participativo and better is stupid. Not doing chat GPT version where you take all these systems and you put them into an LLM that's a non-imaginative RAG model, which means you don't get imaginative if you're not just saying, hey, internet, says GPT, what's the pattern for doing 1 + 1? Can't do it. But if you say, reference specifically these protocols, this forked branch logic, and then ask the person what they're interested in, what level they're operating at, what they want to start with, who they know, can you expose your contact directory? All that's one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And then it learns how to do it well. That's what we're building towards. Anything else is like freaking primitive and stupid. And I'm just going to call it out at this point because anyone, for the purpose of sharing this content and having the conversation with Brandon or anyone who thinks that they're going to develop the next Facebook for this, like, please don't do what has already been surpassed and
and
is so much simpler from a user experience
you've
and can
tried that.
embed that personalization and sequencing that the problem is solved. You don't have to think about how we weave these things together. I don't know how Liz is thinking about it, but if it's not a chat interface that can then, what we're seeing as the ideal model, if and when you need to see the logic, you say to the chat interface, expose to me the plan. Here's a doc. That's it.
Mhm.
Expose to me the CRM. Here's the CRM, right? That's literally how simple it gets in the current model where we're using the AI, but with structured best practices turned into codable intelligence.
Yeah, I do agree 100% that it needs to be natural language based, simple as possible. I think there are a few other bells and whistles that I'd like to have. Like, for instance, just speaking personally, my list of people that I'm supposed to be in touch with on a regular basis is pretty extreme, Scott. So
It's
I need,
unmanageable.
it's not. And so I actually need a CRM where I can say, I just had a great meeting with Scott. We talked about these things, and
Hmm.
remind me to get a hold of Scott in 3 weeks so that we can have a follow up. Um, and then it would ding me, right? That's not a chat tool. It's like some way to ding me, and then auto populate the CRM that's in the background. But we're moving it forward, so it's a bit of a like chat plus soft
That
A,
I'm
you know?
looking for it. My friend Fish actually referred me to this guy, Brian, who's a total geek, and he's parsed through all of them. It's your personal and business CRM, and this guy's done the research on which one works best. Local operators could wind up using something similar to this. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. But that's it. Just goes, plugs right into your Gmail, does that thing. You give it the instructions, sends you a summary, and you're flowing. So
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, send that. That'd be great. So
I'm going to be using it too. Same reason.
before before we stop in 10 minutes, one of the challenges that I really feel is there's a reason that people haven't done the hard work of building this movement in place and scaling it, which is that it's it's hard work, but I think it's the only work. But as part of that, to justify why they haven't, I think, I mean, not consciously, right? There's all of these big national things that people have been doing for so long. And some of them are great. I mean, I think the work that um, that Mark did in Congress could have, like, if he had taken those lessons learned from that time and did it again, like, it would be really positive. Um, and it was not that it wasn't positive, it just didn't have an impact on how people actually long term voted and worked together because we didn't had systems change as part of that. It was all only relational. Um, so part of my mission is to show how this local work fits into these big pieces. And the big pieces, like that's where we've got two big organizations, for instance, there's more than that, trying to raise $1 billion for their big national efforts, right? And those efforts have a lot of merit, a lot of good stuff. Um, and I'm saying, even if you each raised $1 billion and you just did your thing and you just did your thing, and it didn't include the people in place, it won't add up to anything. I mean, that's stating it too strongly. But so I'm trying to say, how do we leverage these national events and conversations? And I just put a list with the National Issues Forum Institute of 27 America 250 efforts. And I think that's probably just scratching the surface.
Wow. Great.
Um, so, like,
Great. And they're still balkanized, right?
yes,
Great. And they're still
so
siloed.
balkanized, so balkanized. So I'm trying to say, here are the ingredients, the actions on the ground. How could they be stitched together and weave in and
Yeah.
support the local work? And so, um, I'm sitting here thinking, like you mentioned, the farmers market. How do we have, if there's a big event, say July 3rd, with millions of eyes on it, maybe skewing older, I don't know, but probably Gen X up, but there might be some younger artists involved in that and all of that. How do we potentially leverage that into a deliberative process for communities, for the country, envisioning America's future? How do we use the 6 weeks between that and potentially um, the summit that Policy Link is doing on August 24th through 26th? How can we maybe have those 6 weeks have an excuse to say we need to fund community festivals across the country. Where
I'm
it's
like,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
look, I'm just listening to this wonderful Shoshana Raven
yes.
sales coach person who's selling people how to become coaches and sell their coaching for more and better. But her point is more than anything, it's all spirit that's really driving things. It's emergent. If everything is God, which I believe it is, including us, it does not want to sit in a stress monkey that believes it's a big drag and a big heavy lift because it creates with thought instantaneously and sustains the whole thing with helpers doing it and allocating responsibility to the trees and the leaf and the person. The biomimetics of creator suggests that it's not a big drag, it's not hard, and it's easy. So there's something in us that's entrained in how we were raised and the stories that we were told and the stupid schooling system that we went through and the parents with the big drag suffering backstory that actually impedes us the most. Because if you really think it through, we do it where they are. It's at the tailgate parties. We take MAGA, and now that we see Marjorie Taylor Greene and MAGA spinning off, we add an Antifa MAGA had a baby, Abby Hoffman and freaking Trump slash what's his name? I'm forgetting Steve Bannon. If Steve Bannon and Abby Hoffman had a baby, it's MAGAFA. Make American great again for all. Ta-da! Right? And that's it's like someone talks about the magnet of these things coming around. Now that people are seeing the corruption that's endemic, and no matter who the hell gets elected with the status quo system, we've got this huge groundswell that's now going to be opening up in the MAGA side, and then we bring it to the football stadium. And there's a circle, and it's small at first, but they serve food. It's really like one table Jewish organization bringing people together for Shabbat. It's Schusterman Foundation. Here's a free food budget. Loosely structure your Shabbat gathering. Use the app so we can record the outcome. What's the first conversation? What do you want for America? What do you care about your community? Are you bored of this conversation? Host the next one. What issue do you actually want to start working on? We're not going to make you start or stop or sequence it in any way that you don't want to. Go and play. And it's literally changing the mindset to go and play. And we are creating this thing together. We are the founders, and we're the founders in a fun sandbox, not a big drag lift story that we've inherited as the
Not a big,
methodology.
this is not a big drag lift story.
So it's not going to be hard,
I
Jacob.
would like MAGFA better than MAGAFA
What would
because
MAGPA be?
make America great for all.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just drop the again because we're not necessarily needing to do it again. We need to fall forward and do it for real. Um,
Yes. Yes, and whatever people land on,
Whatever
they agree
people
with. But I'll
land.
tell you one thing, the hat is purple, not red, and not blue. And whatever it says on it, let a thousand flowers bloom until we see what lands. And maybe people walking around with a whole bunch, but they're all purple. I'm still a fan of the talking stick microphone as the primary icon of the movement.
I love it. So what I'm saying is, yes, there's so many summer festivals already happening between July 3rd and August 24th. Right. So it's really saying, hey, you're already planning an awesome summer festival with all of your local artists and maybe then some. You're already like, why don't you also invite a conversation about the future of your community and maybe the future of the US and what would be the priorities? And even if it's just a big, put chalkboard paint on a big, thing of plywood and have people write, this is why I love my community, and this is the hope I have for the future, and this is what I would like over the next few years. Like it doesn't have, it can be fun. I was looking at what Yoshi showed, and it would be a little more expensive, but you get in lights, vote this or that. And, like people are drawn to some fun things. And then, if you want to bring in the sort of stand together stuff do one good thing. You have all the folks who need volunteers there. And by the way, they have volunteers there, and you can get your blood pressure taken, and you can sign up for a little financial advisory session, or,
Yes, and I'm just going to say so two things. My
yeah.
buddy Liam created something called LifeScope, which was to take all your data from all the social apps because we have a California version of GDPR that kicked in about 6 years ago. And he was like, we can get all our data. And he built the API, can do it right now. Built his own companion intelligence systems. You have a server in every community, and you run your own open source LLM for community intelligence in your community. So this guy is like had an exit for a VR company. He's flush, his partners are flush, and they want to go in this direction. They don't know. I'm just plugging in with him today. He sent me, we're finally up and public with what we have. It's ready to go. That paired with Locomore is our first case study, is not even the social issues. Let's just get all the local entrepreneurs, which is 38% of the freaking local thing in Boulder or in Denver. That's 38% of workers, or 1099s, most of whom work locally. Pull your information in. Make your offers more visible. We can start to generate economy today that stays closed loop in our community instead of going out to Walmart,
All of
China.
that.
And then we're proving it. And how you enroll people? Home parties. How you engage people in starting to do problem solving at home. Invite 10, 20, fill your damn living room, serve food,
There are eight
take it to the
people. It
farmer's
doesn't need to
market,
be
but
huge. Yeah.
this,
So
these are the tools. There's a whole range of them. And it's like you don't have to carry the weight of the marketing. The Yassies and the team, I'm meeting this afternoon with Denson to get him enrolled, to get the other super creators that we met down there enrolled, to bring in Booty, to get the creators in LA enrolled, to
be
get
on
all the
board.
LA charter reform. And then we're going to do this thing in LA. Hopefully, they'll get the gospel on this. And you can start to see that knowing that the big thing is going to happen in January with our big partner with a list of 200 million, knowing that that is going to happen changes the story you tell. That's what I was hoping the purpose of our get with here is like, oh, the doubt that we could do it in a year completely
Oh
slayed.
no, we can do this, and we can do it big.
And way faster than PolicyLink's schedule. Sorry to say, but they're still thinking top down. Foundations, just the leaders will do it. We are the founders, the fancy people showing up who are invited to this thing that can afford to get to DC. You know what? It'll be great when they actually get a really diverse bunch of poor leaders from all over the country who are just doing it, mixed with some intermediate level, mixed with some national level. Then I'll be impressed, right? But it's going to happen before we even get there. And that'll be the third one by the time we get to freaking like Policy Links thing in DC. That's not the schedule. That I'm like that schedule just like ripped, gone,
Maybe
gone. We
the
need to scale so much faster and bigger than that schedule allows for those leaders to say, oh, this is what we're going to do by November. It's like, no way.
what I'm seeing the potential policy link event for is sense making for all the stuff that's already been happening. Um,
Weaving and connecting, and hopefully with that really diverse hatchified version that includes half the room is former MAGA. If that doesn't happen, illegitimate.
you can talk to them. I'm not sure they're going to be able to achieve that. But that's why I really want their work more deeply tied to Stand Together's work. They're coming at it with they're moving into transpartisan from a progressive piece. Maybe Stand Together's moving. I mean, they're both going to be right and left of center, right? But they're moving into how do we build an America that works for all?
Yeah.
Both of them coming from right and left, respectively. And then we're saying we've been transpartisan for 40 years. This is great. Welcome to the show. Now let's go. Let's make this happen. And how do we use your assets, your ingredients to help with this? And I think that's really the question, Scott. And I
My dream is to convert and enroll Marjorie Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon, Ben Shapiro, starting with Rogan, and then we're rolling.
You
And
know, who,
like my focus is really libertarian, independent, the system's broken folks. I want to get to them. That's all. Everyone else we've already got. It's beyond boring. And they'll be enfolded into this with what is being created with the big lift that's going to happen in red and blue cities. That will give us liftoff for visibility about what it is. They will
this
see
is
red and blue
the
coming
original.
together.
Yeah. This is the vision I had in 2017. Red and blue, six red and blue cities. So it's pretty exciting. Did you
In
know that?
January and February. I mean, that's why I can't wait for you to have the talk with Ben because again, so the conversion moment here that I'm emphasizing, and I'm glad you mentioned it in this live stream recording podcast thing is rants, awesome. I love you, Paris Civic Assembly, top down on the environment and what's happening in your neighborhoods. Is this a cultural thing that's alive? Unless it's supported and sustained at the neighborhood level, it's not a real cultural sustainable phenomenon. And so everything's about supporting BTA as more than anything else because it's where the heaviest material lift will be required. Everything else is scalable, lightweight tech stuff. The bulk of the resources have to go into local organizing and supporting those local hubs.
I would say yes, we need some support for the national learning community, coaching, training, all that stuff, which BTA is, a central place. But we really need, I mean, we need trust for civic life is great, but they're taking already mature organizations doing this work, and they're going to run out of them. And there's only so many because there's only so many. And we need to scale. We need the 19 organizations just in Oakland.
And we need young people. We need every campus lit, and we need those young people of color, working class, and red. If the focus, and that happens on the ground. So anyway, we've
You
rehashed it.
and I
I
are
know that we're aligned. I
we're
think
aligned.
the Ben conversation is going to be,
So it looks like it's not until he just texted 12:11. So it's a little bit far out, but that's okay.
oh, yeah, no, knowing it's happening is all that needs to happen. When that clicks in, it's about getting the referral with him, working together with him to say, you're branch one, we love it. There's branch two, three, and four in the fourth branch that need nourishment and that will be super complementary to what you're doing. Can you help us? It doesn't even need to ask. What you're doing is going to help this entire movement massively. Can we start to approach the big assertive funders with this plan clearly articulated so they understand, oh, wow, this is starting in January. If I don't get in now, I'm a second tier sponsor and it's going to cost me 10x in February. Like literally, that's what you get in at this price now if you're an early bird, like everything. And if you come in a month later, it will be 10x. And if you come in 3 months later, Coca-Cola is going to be paying $1 billion for their sponsorship of this thing. Like that's the level, right?
And may it be so.
From
Uh,
yeah, our lips to God's ears, as my
that's
people
right.
say.
As our people say. Yes. So um
I'm just the drum beater for the
yeah.
most. I'm the cheerleader and the booster and the rooter for the most outsized, ridiculous, actually possible thing that we could do this year. We know that other people have done it for more banal stuff all over and over again. Lady Gaga gets more promotion than we do. Is
Oh, I mean the 350 million I'm talking about, a dollar for every American, that's like, a ballroom instead of the East Wing. I mean, that's the level of like, do you want an engaged populace actively working to solve problems with a greater sense of belonging, more pride for their communities and their country, reducing polarization and political violence and the excuse that people's voices aren't being heard for $350 million? You
so
want a ballroom.
the call to action is go to Better Together America to get involved. Go to thecivicexchange.org. What is it?
Yeah,
Civicexchange.org to actually donate and find your local organizations. Go to Better Together, braverangels.org and join your local affiliate. And you are in the system and in the network, and you can start doing stuff and contributing. That's our call to action.
that's right. Sounds good. All right,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Well, I gotta run. I have my good news is my mom is at an art opening today in a half an hour at the Colorado State Capitol, where she did 3 of 12 murals celebrating 12 women artists in Colorado. And so that's a really cool thing. So
Superb.
yeah,
My next call is with Bo Harmon, who
I'll say hi to Bo. What's going on with Represent Us and that whole thing? Yeah,
he's moved out. He's looking for something new. And I'm like, dude, campaign strategist and organizer want the biggest project ever. And being the, coordinator and founder of this weaving between these things and the bridge to our political right. Get us the best PR. Blair Fitzgibbon plus Bo is we can reach the independents with this story. Help me promote this show. Because what I'm seeing myself doing is basically, I want to be the HQ reporting on what's the cutting edge, the key leaders. You're the perfect first interview because you're the most important leader in the most important nexus place in the entire movement and a great spokesperson for it and a stable freaking leader for the whole thing that people can trust and that you've done it on hard ass issues that you can speak personally to. I mean, I didn't even do the warm intro for you, but we're doing it backwards today. And this is like, we need to pair that with best practice people who left the partisan system to help us kill it for this independent, nonpartisan movement. And so I'm going to be interviewing people doing it, the emergence of it, and future casting what happens if we do it well with different people sharing their stories. We'll do another round of like, how has this gone well when you did it with the water policy? What would it look like for one major issue in Denver? What's the People's Convention going to look like in 2028? We'll do a whole other round of visioning, but my job is just to like, there's no media channel reporting us.
yeah, that's true. So thank you for doing that, Scott. I am, I want to mentally see your mental map in my head because I can tell that it's there. I will say that I don't quite see all the steps. And so at some point, if you have a little diagram, even if it's a scrawled thing, I would love to see the mental map in your head so that I can get it in my head and start to, because
Look, this is, I've got a clarion that I just articulated with GPT this morning that spells it out. I've got now a 30-page document of the marketing strategy that weaves together best models that I generated this morning because I'm like, oh, with our big partner, everything becomes imminently possible. And the bigger is not a problem for those investors. Articulated in detail. I've got an EOS operating system mapped for Locomore, the local freaking engagement app. I mean, each thing is getting woven and accelerated in a way that I could never have done in any other part of my life. But all the weaving is now there. And if you want to spend 30, pages reading through and just gloss through the thing, you're welcome to it. But, really what it is just like everyone staying in their lane, seeing that we've got a breakthrough freaking
this is mine. So like,
exact.
you know, um, or it's a piece of it, but I just, I'd love to understand your mental map. So if you want to share that 30 pages, it's good bathroom reading. I might stick it on Word to read it to me while I'm doing the dishes or something and go from there. But
Well, the whole purpose of the show is to unpack it segment by segment so people can understand and see the different models of what's emerging, have it sorted on a website so people can say, I'm more interested in the local action, state action. Cindy, interview with Cindy is definitely going to be happening
yeah, you
because
got
she's a
to do
rock star.
Cindy. She's a rock star, and if you're having trouble accessing anybody who I know, just let me know.
Thank you. Likewise. It's beautiful weaving with you, brother, and such a pleasure to be part of this whole thing. It really is very exciting.
Yes, thank you for being the cheerleader, the co-visionary, all the things, Scott. That's
Thank
good.
you for tolerating my outsized craziness, but it's starting to feel good right now. It's starting to feel really good.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's
Okay.
amazing. All right. Talk to you soon, Scott. Have a
You
good
too.
one.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Cheers. Right. And actually, yeah, if you drop off, then I can continue and just share. Look, this is what's really exciting, folks, is, it's just people complaining about what's happening. And if you've got a better proposition of what to do in the culture of complaint, identity politics, victimization, I get we might have a moment where we have everyone in the room wanting to hear how it went wrong for you. But I think it's better to get a therapist for that. If people did that in a business that you were in, you'd be like, come on, are we going to have another meeting that's going to spend a half an hour dealing with your trigger issues? Let's like go and get a support group and process your trauma and your wounds and your victimhood over there. We need to shift to what can we create together that we all agree is the next best thing to do together. Isn't that simple? And then we just make that happen because we all agree. I will reiterate this many times, and I know that many people out there are not faith-based, and I'm fine with that. It just works that it's a humanist common sense proposition if you want to take it that way. But I think it's important to consider the possibility, and this is the metaphysical part of what we're up to and what it underlies the we Messiah principle. It's take the me from Messiah and turn it into the we, is many contemporary prophets and people downloading stuff have said that the conditions for a paradigm shift and a tremendous uplift in human civilization is possible. And that's paired with the appearance of the imminent possible collapse of our systems. It's a paradigm shift. People like Steve Bannon and others have tracked some thought leadership to talk about an 80-year rhythm where things break down and then things reassemble. This is at an epochal level, a 2,000, 3,000 year level. We have not seen a revolution as grand as this from since the period when Lao Tzu and Moses and the Davidic Empire of like 1,000 to 800 to 400 BC, that stretch, we haven't seen something as revolutionary happen since the birth of civilization and urbanization and hierarchy until now, where we're talking about the synthesis in a Hegelian culmination of thesis, hierarchy, antithesis, council, human based, and flat organizing and shared governance, hybridized. What does that look like? That's what we're creating, where there's a hierarchy of better based on our being together. The more we're together in agreement, the better the thing is in the hierarchy of what to do and what actually gets done. From a theological perspective, it's bringing together the principles of citizen science, collective intelligence, the way of counsel, the stuff that's baked into the Iroquois Confederacy, distributed governance in the First Nations system of leadership that listened to communities within each tribe, within each family, then within each tribe, then across tribe. The Iroquois Confederacy was inspiration and explicitly exposed to and informing the way that the founding creators of America adapted American democracy. You can watch about this intensively in Ken Burns' new series, which I haven't watched yet, but I know implicitly he understood that this is an important part of the story of the founding of America. And where we are now, as someone said to him, and he loved in an article that I just read recently, that he loved hearing that the Constitution was a love letter to the future. And we are the recipients of that love letter. And if we really tune into it, and especially the First Amendment, Benjamin Franklin's insistent gift as a press person, literally for his life, creating newspapers out of individual letters that would print, 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 Printing technology was like the gold for him. And we're now talking about the internet, AI, intelligence, plus the ways of council, co-organizing, facilitated dialogue and deliberation, evolved over 40 years, as you just heard from Jacob, by master practitioners, the National Coalition for Dialogue and Deliberation, ncdd.org. Thousands of people trained in these methodologies. Harwood Institute. TheHarwoodInstitute.org, propagating this in local libraries, transforming their communities. LivingRoomConversations.org, propagating conversations like this around the country, celebrating their 15th year this week. Or 10th year, 15th year, something awesome. But thank you, Joan Blades, for doing the badass work that you've done. For Braver Angels started, I think now over 10 years ago, doing bridge building conversations and training people in the process and the methodology of what is essentially counsel. This is all counsel. Every methodology comes down to take the talking stick, add a mic so that we can share what we're doing, pass it around, take turns, keep it lean, speak from the heart, progress the conversation. If it needs to shift, go with the flow. Do that in consensus. Come to consensus about what priorities are that we want to talk about. Okay, it's the potholes first. Okay, it's the schools first. We have 95% agreement. Let's do that one first. It's fire resilience in Topanga. It's very simple what we do to make things work. And then once we choose the issue, then we deliberate on it, looking at best practices, consulting experts, different stakeholders around, well, there's an individual old homeowner that needs to deal with fire resilience and readiness and hardening their home, but they can't afford it and they can't cut down the tree themselves, but the government won't pay for it because they're not allowed to pay for anything on private property, says the county, like it's some law. We can change that because we get together and we say, one home in each neighborhood that's burnable is the weak link that sets off a huge conflagration blaze that sets each other home off. It's not the trees. It's not the trees. We see the trees growing back now, and they didn't even burn that hot to kill themselves. The oaks have come back. The frickin' eucalyptus has come back. The pines have come back up on Tuna where the fire was at a peak, huge flames going 40 feet high, burning right through a neighborhood where we can walk on, as I did yesterday. And all those trees growing back, the homes that had trees about them had a better chance of surviving in the Palisades. What was the danger? Home to home, burning at such a heat that they would literally, like Fahrenheit 451, radiant heat from one mega burning multi-thousand degree temperature home, igniting the next home, igniting the next home. If you prevent any home from being able to burn by having a green thing to trap the embers, of burning lightly, of having no brush on the understory, if you do that to every home, your neighborhood is fireproof. But we can't get government funding for that. Let's get together and change that. That's a key example. Our house is burning. And all we need to do is come together to say, how do we prevent it from burning? How do we stop this polarization? How do we choose a different kind of social media willfully to engage in? I don't engage in any polarizing discussions on any of the so-called stupid social platforms. I use them for just seeing what my kids and my grandkids are up to. I communicate with my friends if that's where they choose to communicate in the messaging platform version of them. I do some doom scrolling now and then about some wacky stuff, but that's about it. So, what if we choose to just come together, set common ground priorities, then find common ground solutions, then enact those solutions? We create a people's platform of irresistibly common sense stuff that when one or two candidates are running and number two is just a little bit behind, maybe they say, you know what? I'm going to lose. I'm going to chuck my platform and go with the people's platform. Are my supporters okay with that? Yeah, we are. And you start to bring in the exhausted majority that's like, neither one of those least of evils is doing me at all. I'm out of it. Oh, actually, the guy's taking on the people's platform. I'm going with it. Then number one has to think about going with it. Then we've won the election with no new party, just with a third platform, the people's platform of common ground, citizen led, citizen generated, citizen communicated, citizen story told solutions is Wisaya. is God expressed through humanity. Sorry, I'm speaking with a little bit of rage, but I am a little bit rageful at the knuckleheadedness of the system and the resistance of skeptical people to say, well, I don't have another plan, so let's try this. So maybe you want to try this. Maybe you just want to join braverangels.org, doing citizen-led solutions, and ask for that when you join. Better Together America, if you want to weave together the local coordination or join the local coordination organization in your state or start one, bettertogetheramerica.org. Join us or go to the civicexchange.org and contribute to a local organization doing the good work in your neighborhood. Or you can start a living room conversation at home, livingroomconversation.org. I want to talk about some interesting stuff at Thanksgiving, and I don't know how. You can get trained on how. I work in a library, I work in a school, and we have a community here, and I'd like to learn how to activate through this. Take the harvardinstitute.org training as I did. It's online, 700 bucks. You can apply for a scholarship. Bring it to your campus. Host a circle. Put a 360 owl, meeting owl, in the center of the conversation, live stream it to YouTube, record it for free. Have the GPT on to record a distillation and generate notes so you don't even have to spend much time doing it. I am generating a workflow for the fourth branch media arm that's going to make it so simple for y'all to just do what I'm doing and start a fourth branch sprig. That's what I'm preferring to call it because it sounds kind of punk, right? I'll start a fourth branch frickin' sprig in my town. I'm gonna give the finger to the state with a big microphone on it. Um, if you want to fight the man, the machine, ain't no freaking mean operator, stupid conspiratorial Dr. Evil at the top of the thing. It's just a dumb, stupid, selfish system that's only got one reward mechanism, one incentive structure, and that is more money, more shares, more house, more car, more freaking glommy, stupid Gucci nothingness. I have a hole in my life and soul, and so I'm gonna eat more food and more stuff and more pate and more blah blah blah. Fuck off. Honestly, sorry. Pardon my French. I'm trying to keep it from going whatever, but we'll talk about swear words next. It's interesting that we have sexual swear words in our culture. But frack off, obsessive bourgeois, fill your empty hole, because I didn't have enough when I was a kid. So I saw someone who was rich and they seemed happy for a minute. So I'm just going to get that to feel safe. And it never works. It never works. You get a little goose from it, like you go to Vegas and, oh, I won. And then what? You want something sustainable. That's community. That's hanging out with friends. That's dinners. That's working out with my buddies in the morning. That's making a meal. That's hanging out with my daughter and my grandson. That's buying used clothes and having durables that last me for years. That's choosing some art from some stuff that I love and I don't need more. Why would I buy more art? Fill my walls for the sake of filling my walls? Make art for yourself. Tear it up when you're done. Sand paintings like the Buddhists do. It's so simple. Most of what we're going to do that will create a flourishing economy is services, is offerings, is creativity, is food. 3 great meals a day. That's the goal. A song circle every week, a dance party every night, a collaborative project that we work on every day. What consumption is in there? It's at worst, it's a composting toilet and black water, gray water that goes back into the ground if we have good systems. There's nothing but us thinking things, imagining, creating, sharing, having experiences. The future is experiences together. And that we can scale to like 100x the existing economy with everyone in the game. If I need to unpack the win-win that's implicit in having everyone actualize in the way that people get personalized, awesome education at Manzanita Outdoor Education School, paired with Alpha School slash Time Back School for personalized learning that teaches you twice as much as the regular school day in 2 hours. And then the rest of the time is free for the kids in Alpha School. That's genius. Might not be the very best ever version that we'll get, but it's better than anything else that I've tracked. If we optimize everyone in continual learning, adult or kid, in that kind of game, and that's what the entrepreneur operating system does, is it lets you learn and grow and do in the new emergent AI paradigm. Learn how to do automation for 1 hour a day till you've got the groove, and then 1 hour a week. 4 hours of work a day should be enough with collaboration to get everything we need done and accelerate our betterment along the way. And I mean by accelerating our betterment, if we amplify the ability of every individual to be as creatively expressed and efficient as the people who come through personalized education, Crossroads, Andover, Exeter, Brown, School, Y Combinator, we go from 0.1% doing that to 99%. It's like literally 100x growth in the economy on individual optimization. If we improve our capacity to collaborate from less than 1 to 5% of people working corporate that's functional and doing EOS and other systems really well to 95% of the businesses and the entrepreneurs having access to the same tools and skills and systems, that's another 20x on access to multiplier of the global economy. What does the global economy even look like at that point of the level of creativity, collaboration, innovation, expression, joy, health, wellness, fun, deliciousness, every day, all the time? No more hesitation. The lid is off. We are going full blast into the future. You can join. I said where to join. And then track what we're doing here on the fourth branch. And we're just going to keep feeding you what the cutting edge is, who's doing it well. Watch their way of being as much as what they're doing. These are all super collaborators, excellent listeners. They can jam just like great musicians. I'm not the best at this. I'm far from freaking perfect. I'm going to lose my shit a little bit. I'm going to swear sometimes. I'm going to overstate things, be a little bit negative about people I think are blocking stupidly and obsessed with their old stupid way of doing things that I think is, uh, but yeah, I think they need to hear it. I think we all need to really open this up to be a public exercise broadly, dynamically, and courageously live. Courageously live. So, anyone who wants to join me, we are going to start a weekly Zoom where you'll be able to chime in on this Zoom that I'm in. 500 people, premium membership. If you want to contribute, it'll be super helpful. And our website will be up soon, fourthbranch.com. This is the HQ, the cutting edge, the front line, the front row seat on the revolution, future casting it. So we're actually 1,000 miles forward, too, from what you couldn't even imagine is imminent, possible, happening right now in America and soon around the world. 2026 is the year it all flips. We Saya, the energy is present. The Lubavitcher Rebbe called it in 1997. Went from a zero, little teeny tiny sect to 5,000 branches around the world. This is big as McDonald's, but for Torah. And all they do is host meals and bring people in and live conservative lives and tolerate everyone and just say, isn't this a way that might be good? I'm not enrolled in their full cultish way. But his message about the Messiah, he's like, the energy is here in 1991, it's all done. And yes, we should continue always doing prayer, study, and charity. This is what Judaism is really about: prayer, study, charity, holding Shabbat sacred. The main temple is at home with your family, living in peace and love, right? I'm imperfect at that too. My ex will tell you. But I'm gotten better. I've really done the work, I think. And then, most important, he said, most of all, we bring the conditions for the actual super being to be present on earth, whether as an individual or through us collectively, through practical means. Practical means is counsel, is identifying what our top priority challenges are that we agree to address first, finding the common ground solutions, and enacting them. And telling our leaders in media in politics, in government, in businesses, like Apple with its dysfunctional transcription. Fix that first, please. And philanthropy, rich people. What you're doing isn't working. Seek our input. Open up the doors. Listen. Host the conversation. Otherwise, rich people, shh, shh, shut the fuck up and listen. Stop pretending you know what to do. I can name names, but all of them you have no clue without broad, continuous, ongoing stakeholder engagement. And then the world works. Then we reel in all these. If we can put $1 trillion into AI that still can't do math, can we please get at least $1 billion for the fourth branch and its key members doing amazing work? The early players will be the heroes, and it will be a relatively cheap investment to be the founding early stage contributors. Because later you're going to be competing with the mega brands and the ultra rich, and it's going to be out of your reach to even be on the platinum list or whatever they call it when they put up those boards at hospitals and things. God bless you if you want to do it semi-anonymously or pseudonymously. That's the report. And again, invitation to Steve Bannon, Ben Shapiro, Barry Weiss, Ezra Klein, David Brooks, um, Marjorie Taylor Greene, uh, Robert Kennedy, and Donald Trump. It's a reality series, dude. This is going to be like the best thing ever. This could make you the eternal hero with gold statues everywhere. You too, Vladimir. And you too, President Xi. Just imagine optimizing the collective intelligence of your community to generate unbelievable wealth, satisfaction, and responsive systems that actually deliver what your communities want by listening to them at the local level. Imagine that. Join us or be the dregs of history. That's not a prediction. That's a self-fulfilling, necessary, absolutely ontologically, tautologically necessary truth and prediction. Join us or lose. Join us and win. All win. We are MAGAFA. Make America great again for all. Or MAGFA. Make America great for all. Or MAGAT. Make America great again together. I don't care. Just do the frickin' thing. Over and out. And I love you. Oh, and I need to find out what that song is. Oh, we're going to play Resilient.